Monday morning, got the corn head out. We're gonna finish it up. Knives have been adjusted. Putting our deck plates on. So these you simply pull off, clean out from underneath them. This side is the side that moves in and out. Actually, we'll say here, look at this. This shaft moves, pushes this arm that actually pushes those. One's hooked there. You can see each row. That's what slides these deck plates. So when this moves, it'll slide this side shut. As we set our deck plates, I've got to hook up to the Geringhoff and actually get in, and I'm going to run them together. When we run them together all the way, that's where we get our measurement. We've got our Geringhoff fold box. We're going to push it over to the deck plates right there. And that shuts them all the way. Now the same button will fold and unfold the head by switching over, and I'm just here on the handle. They set the front a little narrower than the back so things go through and don't get stopped in there. But all 12 rows have to adjust the same when you hit the button, and so you have to get them set ahead of time. So these come off. And it's just the 3 studs stick up right here. Tighten it down, and then when you move these, all the gaps should stay the same. Do the same process on every row. Okay, we're going to do a deck plate situation here. Okay, so I'm going to push this all the way out. I'm going to run these 3 nuts down. Okay, and then I've made spacers. I put one there. I made this one for down at the bottom. The gap's a little different at the bottom. Okay, so I've got that gap set. Got my top gap set. Now I'm going to tighten my other side down. When we adjust our deck plates, all of them when they're shut will be shut to the same amount, and they all adjust the same amount. This side's always stationary. This side always is the one that moves. We've got to attach our, when it folds, it has to pop one of these snouts up. We've got to attach those. And we should be getting pretty close. So our knives have been set, our deck plates have been set, our grass knives on the bottom have been set. We've got to drain our gearboxes, and our gearboxes on the end. And then I'll get a few more of these little parts, and we should have a complete corn head. This is a cylinder, raises this. The actual head splits right here when it folds. One of the first things it does, it pops this and it raises this snout so it can start the fold process. We just got that hooked back up. It's just a couple bolts there and a hinge. So it's different. There's 2 of those. It's different than the other rows. So it can fold. Getting ready to drain the gearboxes. So we drain them right here. Loosen these, set buckets underneath. There's 12 gearboxes, and then there's 2 on the end. I believe we got 14 total. We're going to change the oil in them. Brian got the pole off the broken tarp. He's cutting the section out right here with the Sawzall. And I was on the phone the other day, and they make this little piece. We're going to splice it. That goes on our trailer that the tarp's bad on. We're going to put a new tarp on this and fix that tube while we're at it. He's got the motor pulled off the front right here. And that long pole slides in there, and that's how it rolls. Well, that broke midways, and when it broke, it just wrapped our tarp up. It was when we had some frozen weather. Each gearbox holds about 2 liters. We measure them out. We pump them out of a bucket and just put them in an old bottle. They've got a dipstick. You can pull them out right here. As you can see, there's oil on it right now, and you can't see the oil. So to me, it's better. We know what the gearbox holds, and we put that much in it. We've done that in the past and it's worked good. End of the day, we got our gearboxes oil changed and refilled. Just a few little things to do on the Geringhoff and it's gonna be done. Been working on the Macdon as well. This goes on, and that's how we mount to the combine. Well, it stripped these holes out here. They're 1/2 inch, so I'm overboring them and taking them to 9/16. But yeah, none of these would. Good morning. This Geringhoff's mostly done. As I look at it, there's a few of these stands that we need to fix. These break off. Like here's one, and right here that one's gone. There's some of them that are broke, bent. We'll fix on those. We'll put our chains on last. We've got a few of these polys that there's a new one, there's an old one. We've got to do a few more of those, waiting on those to come in. But we should be able to wrap this thing up so we can put it up for the season. Our 1/2 inch bolts stripped, and this is where your latch goes through at the bottom. Your combine hooks to the head and this latches it. Well, this is stripped out. It's just been riding down there. So we put 9/16 18, which are rare, but we've overbored them and tapped them. This piece is right here, and this actually comes out when you engage. You pull your handle down, it pushes this out. That's what latches you. Right here, here's my 9/16 18 tap. And I had actually tapped 3 of them. We got one that had threads left, but we can get our piece right back on there. And we thought we were good on this side. Top 2 here stripped as well. When we fell in a hole, it bellied, and it's just ripped the bolts out of these. So we've got 2 that were good here, and then 1 on the other side that was good. Some work on drilling those out. Down, you can see in there, shiny. This is going to pull the spring down. That's what keeps tension on your drum. We took them out the other day. They were a little bit rusted, so we just got a new set. So I got all this done, and it didn't work. Had to overbore it, and put a 5/8 bolt here, and there's a 1/2 inch there. But these tightened up. It stripped these out. I didn't know if we could salvage it, but we got it salvaged. If the 5/8 bolts didn't fit, we were out of meat, I was going to weld them on there. Now we got our new arm on. Previous video, you could see it would lean to the one side, and when it was doing that, it was wearing on the arm, you can see here. But with this new arm, new bearing, it fixed that alignment. Now when we do this head, we've had it apart. We're going to have to do the process or the procedures for setting the float, the balance. We'll get a little bit of that in here. It's easy to do on the shop floor. We got to get some more parts though. Got it. We've got the tarp on the ground, and in each end they put a little screw, and it's got a smaller pipe. And you see our clamps that we talked about. They're undone, pulled the pins on those. It's here on the ground, and he's going to pull this other Phillips head out right there, and then we're going to slide this pipe out. We'll Slide this in our new tarp. The small one goes on this side, and then the big one goes on the roll side. When we put the big one on, we've got that, and also up front here for the electric tarp. It just takes a bolt right here, slides in the pipe. We're also, this is a 2-inch pump, looking at putting a 3-inch pump on the tanker. We use this for water. Being on a 2-inch pump, a lot of times we don't get it. We pull water from this to our van. That's a lot of tarp in a little bag. So here's our new tarp. They put all that in there. So we'll open that up here in just a second. So we've got our small tube in. Here's the big tube. And it'll slide in right here. Here's the drive-in for the motor. So we're going to slide that in. Then we'll get the forklift set up on top, unroll it. We should have our tarp up there. Sounds easy enough. Getting ready to put our chains on. I go to raise the head and it doesn't raise. It gives us a code. We've reset a couple of times, but it says we're in limp mode and it'll be one of these sensors, won't let us raise. So just kind of, you're in limp mode. Put the gathering chains back on. Geringhoff's got a real nice over center tool here. We'll set one up here in a minute. Okay, over center. He's going to compress it. Pulls it down, latches it. Now we just pick our gathering chain up, slide it on. Now we stagger those, so his other set of dividers will go there, but your gathering chains are just dragging your corn up to the auger. So I'll go through here and hang these. There's been years we'll take them off, we put them in oil and leave them, but we're storing them inside. They're not rusty, so I'm putting them back on. So on a Geringhoff, your chains automatically are tightening at all times with this. This is spring loaded inside here. Also, they have shear protection. You have slip clutches in your gearbox, but your sprocket, if you look, is it's machined down. They made that sprocket to slip. If you get like a stump or something big in there, it'll slip that sprocket before you shear something off in your gearbox. So you have that sprocket as well as your slip clutch as backup to kind of protect your gearbox. Geringhoff gathering chains are really long life. Now we got these from Shoot to save a little money, but when they're worn out, this guide will push all the way out. Generally, good indicator, you'll hop a chain, you'll come out here, and literally this is just all the way out. When this is fully extended, that's when you know your chains need replaced. You can kind of see with him, we've got a couple years on these. See, they don't have a lot of life left in them. They're going to be tired after this year. I'm going to slide up here, put our stalk stompers on. That way when we put on the trailer, that we just store them on there. Got some dirt on my face. We rebuilt our stalk stompers. All these bolts were wore off. Brandon did that. So they're ready to go back on. They just simply slide up, and all that's in. This drags on the ground, and it smashes your corn stalk down just to keep your tires from getting chewed up with stubble. Well, a couple trips to the shop, some grinding, beating, and cussing. We've got one stalk stop. We have to leave some off where we put on the trailer here, but we basically got the ones on we need to put on. We've got a few little parts, and then this corn head is ready to be put away, and it'll be ready to go for next season. We've got all our gathering chains on. Everything's set there. All our gaps on our deck plates, our knives, new poly, some new pieces here, all new yellow tips. Let's see, 14 gearboxes total been changed. All the greasing's been done. Well, here's our tanker. It has a dead man valve that's been seized in 1970. It was seized in 1974 when the trailer was new. It's no longer going to be. So he's going to cut it out. Our flow really got slow. That valve it was stuck. It's like maybe a quarter of the way open. So that's going to speed it up. He also bought a Harbor Freight 3-inch pump versus that 2-inch. So we're going to be rocking and rolling with another 3-inch pump. Didn't want to slide in, and also one of our locks come undone, so we had to push these springs and get the lock back done, but we're back under it now. It is giving us a fit. I'm tired of messing around. Let's see if we can get this. We're going to get on video, because if it works, all dude is working. It's on. That worked. I can't believe it worked.
I would have bet against you on that. I thought you could.
Oh, we forgot to put the grease gun up. Lone soldier slipped out here in the cold. Brennan's getting the forklift this morning before the wind gets here. We are going to try to put our tarp on. Our tarp on here. It's going to get windy, so we're going to work on this. I think we center the forklift here, and we can raise it up. Shouldn't be too bad. Small pole that we slid in goes on this side. We normally do this in our shop, but my bean head is not out yet and the wind's coming, so we are going to do it out here. We got it balanced. We're going up. Right to the forklift. I don't think this is OSHA approved, especially on these rough rocks, but oh! On up. Don't want to poke the forks in the trailer. There's that clamp set up. I got to get the bar in that clamp. We decided to go back down. We put a skid on here, and when I go to slide the tarp, I'm worried about ripping it. I mean, that's pretty obvious. I don't know what we were thinking, but I just take the elevator back down. Gotta watch my fingers on there. Woo! Don't bite a fingertip off. This just got slightly more hazardous.
Alright, there we go.
Not bad. We'll be able to move it. Hold on. I couldn't video all that. We've got the tarp up there. It wasn't safe. So now we've got to put screws in this side, and these clamps I talked about go up, and a pin goes right there. We put never seize on those pins, and then the next time you replace a tarp, you just pull your pins and this comes out. The old way just had a flat piece of metal and it screwed in the side of the trailer, and those always stripped out. So being able to just pull a pin to drop, I think there's 6 of those, makes it easy to swap tarps. We go through quite a few of them. Brennan's looking for our pins. We're going to get some never seize. That way when we take those out next time, they pop out. If not, you got to drive them out, and that's kind of a pain. Another reason we try not to haul in the salt is things like that. When you haul in the salt all the time, they freeze up. So every time you work on something, it just creates more of a headache. Well, you won the treasure hunt. Found our pins. We're making progress. We'll position this tube front to back. Get our bearing hanger and our arm back on. We also have our electric motor in the front to do. Back here, just slide in. Not too bad. when we order these. You don't want it to ride up here. You want just a little overlap. We're about right.
Did you see the things I sent?
Got the motor slid up here. Now it slides inside this spud. I've got this whole line up. And it has these bearings. It has a little lip here that sticks up. And I just knocked a bearing on the ground. Have those. There. And it's got nuts that go on each one of these. Has a bolt that goes right there. I just got to get an alignment punch to get the hole lined up. And I better find another part that dropped in the rocks. Real easy. I'll let it go on that lip. It's kind of cool. I always wondered how these worked. We'll want to get alignment punch in our hole there. Oh yeah. Oh baby. Had to get my nut off. Don't be laughing at that. I got him again. Common question. When this motor goes out, how do you undo your tarp? And you literally pull this bolt. And hold on. Motor goes out, so you'll pull that bolt. And all the trucks now, you'll see them, they have the cranks, and they haul them on the side, and they'll be just mounted to the side. Your splines for your crank are right here, and we left the old hand crank set up there, and we just store it over here. So you pull that bolt, slide this in your splines, and put this bolt through, and you can hand crank that way. It's not easy, but it gets you by. We've had to do it before. Motor will quit, and you know, you're sitting at the terminal and you can't undo your tarp, and you got to have a pair of 9/16 wrenches, pull that front bolt, and then put your crank on. You can do it. So here's our back arm, and this piece is just a piece of plastic, slides on your tube. It's riveted in, and it just bolts together like so. Under here's our splines that I was talking about. I'm not going to pull that off, but when you slide your crank on and slide the bolt in, it's on the other side here. But that crank will let you hand unwind it. Now these just have a plastic spring here, and that's just to kind of help with the tarp. You guys are going to see with me, it's either going to work or we're going to have to reset all the timing of it. I think it just goes and resets. It's just been a while for me. Bada bang. We're getting ready to get the bean head out. We undo our side door. We bring our trailer in underneath it. Now right now we've got it fully lifted and the safety's in. While it's lifted up, I'll let you guys look around under here. So here's our belts, and see these track underneath here. This runs on the ground, so these belts are right above the ground. There's pieces of poly to keep from pulling on your, or keep from wearing your metal, and they wear out periodically, but yeah. Now we got our pin in here, but we actually had, this was broke off on the other side. So I just have a bolt in it right here, and we're gonna obviously put that in before we run it. Now we can't put our cutter bars in. You can see we're wall to wall with our shop, but when we get it outside and on the trailer, there's our trailer out there, we will be able to put the cutter bar in. With the cutter bar in, our process should be done. We will check our fluids in season. These things are bad about leaking. I'm not sure where. We tighten a couple of things, but I'm not going to change them until we know it's fixed. I'd like to use our little tractor, but the heads are so heavy, it ramps the front end up and won't push them sometimes. These are forks fit our skid steer as well, and that's usually what I move it with. I put them on the skid steer. He's going to drop those right there. We'll go get the skid steer and get those hooked up. I need to tilt the head, and when we switched to the 780, we took the wire out of the 680. There's a wire that runs this to tilt it front and back anyway. Brian hooked us up. We've got a power box, and it's going to power it so I can tilt the head back. You can't put it on the trailer without the head tilted back. I always, first thing you do right before you put it on the trailer, and without that wire you can't. That never gets old. So you can see we got the head, it's raised, and I will literally bring that head trailer in underneath it. I'll set it on the trailer. I don't know if you can see it, but there's an A, B, C, D. There we go. Now I can unhook my power box. I'm ready to set the head off. Hit our heater right there. I better looks good to me. Get in the cab. We're going to get this mast. It's on both sides. I get it set right there. It's a 42-foot trailer and a 45-foot head. So the main thing is that we don't hit right there. And a little bit hangs off the back, not bad. There we go, it's quiet here. Do my parking brake. It's not bad to set the head off, a little out of practice, but and I can see it appears that I need to be in just a little more. Put a strap here. You can see I just slid those right down. Being 42 foot, I mean, we've got room, but now when you set this thing off in the dark, a little different. See how it just sets on all of our beam, front to back. Now being a 45-foot head, here's where we hang off, guys. Just a little bit, but not bad. Not worth buying another trailer for it. Woo! It got there. I told you to quit recording. Got our cutter bar in. Well, getting ready to put it in. We slide it in until the drive head on that end gets to here. Usually what happens, we've loosened these hold downs, is I'll use a screwdriver and pry bar and kind of get in between. It'll catch in certain areas. So we're just going to help it along. Bren's going to push and I'm going to kind of guide it. Yep. We've almost got our new cutter bar in. Being a little bit of a pill. These blades will catch on the edge of the guard as you're pushing them through. Typically I kind of use this to pry. Always keep your fingers out of there. Oh man. Even a slip. Another thing, I use this half moon setup. Anyway, it's not bad. There's just a few places the blades catch. Now on the end, our drive head on Macdon has a needle bearing. Brennan's fixing. So that spud that his hand is on goes down into the power head right there, and there's a needle bearing in here. And we just got to get that to a line, and then a bolt goes through, clamps it down. It's a dual drive head, being 45 feet, so it drives off each end. It's got two 22.5-foot sickles. Now we are like the Herschel shark teeth, real aggressive blade. We can get 2,000 acres out of a set of these. They're pretty nice. I think they're chrome moly. A little more money, but we always try to run them. So our sickle's all the way in, and these clamps, a little hold down. You can see them. Got a little gap. Anyway, you tighten a bolt right here, and this pushes down on this hold down. We typically do about the thickness of a business card. You'll slide in, and you'll hold your sickle down that way. When a sickle wears, the blades go first, the edges of your guards wear, and like scissors, when those round off, then we replace these. Typically we get 3 seasons of guards, 2 to 3 seasons, and 1 season on the blades. Now this cutter bar, the actual cutter bar, was getting pretty tired. I think that this is going to be the last go around for it. We've got all our rubbers in. These little pieces of rubber keep beans from getting out and underneath the head. Looking good. They've loosened up the child labor laws, so I get some sweeping today. Free sweeping. Well, probably not free. Thanks, partner. Thanks for coming to help.